Okay, well, congratulations. Big accomplishment if you've watched all the videos in this workshop series. Um, this is the end of the workshop, but the beginning of hopefully a lifelong love for working with playing cards and seeing this new language that you have been initiated into. This next slide shows a great little piece of art by my dad, and it's actually available over in the store at Cortez.com. And I love this picture. It really encapsulates what I want to leave you with in the workshop. We need to make our practice ultimately personal, right? It can't just be something you study in a book. It can't be head material and become its full potential or become as joyful as it can be. It really is a tool for personal introspection, and I found for myself over the years as I grow, my practice grows. It's reflected in my practice and my discoveries that I'm still making to this day after so many decades of working in this lineage. And I love that she's naked in this picture, just showing, how personal her practice has become. But I also really love the burning card there. And yes, she is lighting her card on fire. Um, I myself have destroyed many playing card oracle cards over the years, many, sometimes tearing cards in half, sometimes burning them, sometimes gluing them into journals and so forth. So, you know, you can make photocopies of playing cards. I've done that many times myself, made photocopies so I could um, use them in different ways. You can buy a cheap deck of playing cards at the drugstore so that you don't feel your cards are so precious that you can't, include them in rituals or art projects or whatever it is. So I highly recommend destroying some cards. And I also want to talk about this slide brings up so much for me. When you are working with cards, especially in the beginning as you're trying to get to know your cards and know them well, it's really easy to kind of get in a habit of asking personal questions of the cards. And I bring this up because I myself, in the beginning, damaged myself by asking a lot of questions that I was very emotionally invested in. I was going through a really tough time in my life and I misused the cards. I didn't understand that about the cards in the beginning. And really, I was fascinated by them, but really, I just asked way too many questions about myself and my situation to the point where, they weren't really helping me anymore. And more than that, you need to be aware that when you are using cards, you are literally invoking spirits. You are invoking intelligence from unseen worlds. And there are all kinds of intelligences or presences, just pure presence, in these realms that we don't see with our physical eyes. So when you throw a question out into the dark, What are you fishing for? Depends on the bait that's on your line. You know, if you are full of insecurities and fears about what's going to be happening to you, and you're using the cards to feed those insecurities, and be really honest with yourself on this. You are attracting spirits that will play that game with you and literally feed off of your fear and insecurity. It's not really as creepy as it sounds, but it kind of is. But it's such an ordinary, everyday experience that we don't think about it. But there are energies out there, and you just want to be selective. So ask questions from a good place. Ask questions from a more detached place. And we'll go into the next slide here. That's why it's so helpful to do a daily card. Just an open-ended question, a really non-charged question like, what do I need to know about my day today? And there's lots of daily card spreads in the archives, in the blog archives over at anacortez.com. You can explore those for a long time and just check out the little audio that I did many, many days with single playing card oracle cards. And so you can explore that. You can also explore the monthly forecast. Just what do I need to know about my month that's coming up? There's lots in the archives, and it's still going on, that monthly forecast. It's a great thing to follow to build your practice. What else was I going to say about cards? And it's one thing to ask an emotionally invested or a question that you have a lot of concern about. For other people, when clients come to you or friends and you draw cards for them, that's very different than asking for yourself, because it's almost like you have a designated driver when you're asking for someone else and you are not attached to the outcome. It creates a whole different dynamic than when you ask for yourself. And back in the day, I learned that if I had real concerns for myself, I would go to a different reader. I would go to someone else, even though, I had some mad card reading skills. I would go to someone else for questions of real concern for myself. So anyway, that is that topic. And, I'm going to share another little analogy with you. I'm going to share a little metaphor that my dad used to say to me, and that has really stuck with me. And it has provided me lots of reflection over the years on this topic, and I'll just give you that. It's not in the book anywhere. It's just something I remember from my many long conversations with my dad about cards. And he would say, when you ask the same question over and over again, you're muddying the waters, he would say. It's like when you ask a question, imagine yourself sitting on the bank of a stream and dipping a cup into the water, and what you get in the cup is like the answer to your question. You might analyze what you receive. You might get, different minerals or some different, soil mud particles in your cup, and If you ask the same question again, it's like dipping back into the stream in the same place, right? In your same place along the bank. And you might get a slightly different sample in your cup, you know? Just because the stream is always moving. You might get a fish turd in your cup. You might get a piece of gold, who knows? But one thing you will get is a slightly muddier sample because you're starting to stir up the bottom of the stream. You're getting some silt in your cup, a little more each time. And if you continue to ask the same question, each sample you get will be a little bit muddier, a little bit harder to read. And so something to think about. I recommend for sure never asking the same question of your cards more than once. It's easy to doubt yourself, especially if you don't understand the cards that you have received. You know, it's easy to doubt what you've received. Never doubt. Never doubt. Trust 100%. And just think about what you've received. If you don't get it, that's okay. You have time. Think about the cards. Sometimes they'll unfold in your mind for a long time. You know, hours or days. Or sometimes you look back on something in a journal that you did months ago and you'll get insight on it that you didn't have before. So we allow these things to ripen, right? So important, such an important part of a growing practice. And this is just a reminder, there's so much more in the Playing Card Oracles book that we did not touch on in the workshop, that we weren't able to touch on. I wanted to focus on my everyday go-to fundamentals in the workshop to really hammer down those basics. But there's a lot more, especially the geomancy, right? Using geomancy with cards, this is a completely unique discovery of my father's that you won't find anywhere except in the Playing Card Oracles. How cards make geomantic figures. It's really just so fun and really gives you a feel for the organic nature of what you're doing each time you lay out a spread of cards. Also, there's the 16 card spread, you know, the master spread. There's lots of stories and poetry. There's playing card history that relates to card reading and cardomancy. I mean, take advantage of what you have in the book. And then, of course, there's the Oracle Alchemy book, which approaches card reading from a very different angle than the playing card oracles. Oracle Alchemy is some more transcendent perspectives on card reading. Some more spiritual perspectives for your practice. And this is a super weird slide for the very last slide in the workshop, but here it is. Imagine that. My dad used to say, you know, honey, the best hitters, even the best hitters in baseball, don't hit a home run every time. Sometimes, you know, especially back in the beginning, I would feel like, dang, I really missed it. Oh, I didn't get it, you know, or I could have done better. And it's easy to feel that way, especially when you're reading for someone else and they really want help. So don't be hard on yourself. This is part of the learning. And, you know, the readings that don't go right, quote unquote, are your best teachers. It's like your teacher comes through the guise of a new challenge in a reading. How else are you supposed to learn? You might get, knocked on your butt sometimes. It's okay. That's part of it. That is part of it. And hopefully you're always learning. You want to be learning. So allow yourself the mistakes. Accept it as a teaching, learning experience that maybe you couldn't get any other way. Practice, 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 and it's so much fun. I just think card reading is so fun. And I hope you do too. I hope this workshop has inspired a love of cards. And I hope to see you in the playing card community over on the Facebook page. And thanks so much for watching.